Alright boys, today we're going to be ranking every single Pokemon available in Regulation D for the Pokemon World Championships. Basically, the plan is pretty simple. The tier list is structured in a way where we're going to be kind of ranking them based off of what we think their pick rate's going to be. Obviously, you see the S tier down at the bottom there. I did want to kind of do it at the bottom just to make the tier list run a bit smoother for us. But basically, obviously, S tier is going to be the best Pokemon in the format. A tier is going to be the really good one, so on and so forth. And also, it kind of gives us like a kind of a guessing game for the pick rates at Worlds. That's kind of why I put the percentages there, just so you guys can get an idea of, I guess, how we're trying to do this. We will be obviously we'll be doing this with the Homie IceFraud as well. We'll connect with him pretty soon. But yeah, basically, we're going to be ranking all these Pokemon. And yeah, I think it's going to be pretty fun. It's basically, for me, this is a fun tier list. Let me know what you guys think of the tier list, obviously, down below too. Let me know what you think the best ones in the format are going to be, the worst ones in the format are going to be, all that good stuff. But yeah, let's connect with the Homie Ice and we'll jump into this, shall we? Alright, boys, I'm here with the Homie Ice. Ice, say hi to the people.
Hi to the people.
Hi to the people. We love that. Alright, I guess we'll start things off here. Urshifu Rapid Strike, probably the second best Pokemon in the format. I think we're probably gonna go like the S tier here, 40% plus. You reckon?
Yes, easy.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's pretty easy. Definitely, probably second best one in the game. Right behind a little ghost guy we'll talk about later. Urshi single. Now, where do you think this guy goes? I think he could probably be anywhere between 5 to 20%. I do think he's potentially a sleeper for this, for World in particular. I think a lot of people are preparing for like the single strike, the rapid strike version. Because of that, I do think single strike will be a bit of a meta call. But I don't really see it being any higher than 5-10% here.
I think there's definitely going to be skilled players who use it, but we're rating based on percentage, not like how well it's going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like,
I mean, the thing to keep in mind, right?
Personally, yeah, go ahead.
I guess the way I look at this is there's 300 players roughly going to Worlds. Like, do you think this is only going to get picked 15 times?
I mean, that sounds really low.
Yeah.
But like, when you think of it, was what I was talking about before. There's the opportunity cost if you don't get to use the rapid strike version, who didn't have the nerf to its
signature move. Yeah.
And you can increase your stab by going to Terra Water, which makes you neutral to Flutter Mane. Yeah. Whereas, like, if you want to increase your stab with Urshifu, you have to be Dark, and you're still weak to Flutter Mane.
Yeah, I get that. Look, we'll leave it there. I'm okay with Urshi there. I still think it is going to be underrated.
I love it.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's fantastic. But I do think it is a bit underrated. I guess Goth, though. I think Goth is probably in a pretty similar position to Urshi. At least Urshi Dark. I think it's one of those mons where I feel like it gets a buff when it comes to Worlds time, right? This mon's just fantastic. It's really consistent. Like, one of the best fake out mons we have. Obviously, the ability to trap is fantastic. And it's really good for Perish modes as well. And someone like Wolfie is probably going to be running a Perish team.
I am not so sure that Perish is going to be doing well because of Urshifu and its ability to hit through Protect and how important Protect is.
Against, Perish. That's very true. I mean, I still think
Perish or Shadow Tag is good on its own.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people who run like single strike with rapid strike with Goth as well, right? Because like you can't switch out on it.
Yeah. You just lose a mon in that situation if you lead into it wrong.
Especially too if it has fake out. So are you happy with like the CT here, the 5%er? Or
oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's good. I was talking specifically about Perish. Goth doesn't need Perish to be.
Yeah, but actually I didn't mention it either. These are just like all the mods I wanted to get out of the way, 0% mods. Do we think Swordsbuck is just joining them? I don't think this mon ever gets played at Worlds, right?
I don't know what it does, so I can't even.
Yeah, neither do I. I guess the next one is Shroom. This one's an interesting one to me because I feel like because it's Worlds, this mon would like be pushing 40%. Because like even though it's like its pick rate, I think on Pikalytics is only like 30ish%. I do think like come Worlds, you want like redirection, you want something that's bulky, and this is one of the best. But obviously Rillaboom is kind of fighting it for that grass slot.
Yeah, and another S tier on here is going to be Torn.
You think Torn gets that much play?
You don't think so?
Nah, I think Torn's maybe 20.
Okay, I mean, if that's the case, then maybe Amoonguss doesn't look as bad.
So I think it's going to be here. I think Shroom will probably be the third most played mon at the tournament. The question is just how high do we want to rate it? Do we want to say it's in like, the S tier 40% here? Or like... I think if I had to guess, Shroom will probably sit around that 30% mark. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I was about to say, if there was a 30% tier.
Yeah. So I think it's probably like an A+ mon. It's probably like the top of A tiers is how I would kind of rank it right now. I'll quickly rapid fire some of these here because they look bad. Let me know if you think any of these probably get any play. I think they're all bad. Ooh, you can go there. You can go there. The Braviaries, they might like, they might maybe get like an F tier. They might get one pick on each of them, but I don't really see them doing that much.
Yeah, High Dragon has a better chance than those two to get into some teams.
I think with a specific fairy type called Fluttermane going around, Hydreigon's just never getting played, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like part of me like I feel like I can do this because I think they are better than like everything that's gonna go in the F tier, but like the chance of them getting played one time at Worlds to me is still very like maybe someone's ballsy enough to bring him. I doubt it happens.
I think I might bring Cryogonal before I would bring regular Braviary.
You know what? I'm gonna move the Braviaries here. You've sold me. I'll keep Hydreigon there because I don't want to disrespect it. But yeah, they're probably just never getting played. All right, Volcarona. Volcarona, one of the best redirection mons in the format. Unfortunately, like it's got flame body, it's got redirection, it could potentially QD. I do think it is really good, but I kind of think it's going to be somewhere around this like DC tier here. Like I think it'll get some play, but it won't get like a crazy amount.
I think the rise of Hisuian Arcanine is a big problem for it because it's competing for the same slot and it is a threat.
I do think it's probably the second or third best redirection mon in the format. It's just hard, right? Because like obviously I think Amoonguss has kind of just got that slot on lockdown. It's like it is the best. Like sure, Mouse and Volk have got like utility, but I think especially coming into Worlds, I think people are gonna want to go with what they're confident with, and that is like just Shroom. So I don't know. What do you think? D or C? Like it feels almost wrong to put this on the same level as Urshi, but at the same time, like I think it has the ability to do it.
Yeah, maybe. I'd probably put a D, but I don't
I'm okay with that because again, I think this is probably like a top D tier mon. Like again, I think this gets played more than 3 times at the event. I just don't know if it gets played like 15 times. That's the hard thing for me.
Urshifu looks so weird in C tier, man.
Yeah. Again, it's the hard thing when you're doing like these percentages, right? Like maybe I should have made the percentages a bit different, but is what it is.
It's okay. We're work with what we work with.
All right, Tornadus. Touched on it before. So I personally think that Torn HO, while is incredibly good, I do think it struggles into a lot of these balanced fake out matchups. You know, I think mons like, you know, Rillaboom, I think Iron Hands as well. Like I think Hands is super underrated coming into the format, especially like the Worlds format. I think it's still a really good mon. I just don't think it's going to hit that 40% mark. And I think it's just probably a solid A. It probably, if I had to guess, similar to Amoonguss, probably around that. Maybe not similar to Amoonguss, maybe a little worse, but probably like that 20-25% is where I see Torn hitting.
Okay.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Torn T not getting played. Vivillon, do you think anyone's crazy enough to bring this thing? Like it's friend guard plus redirection.
I think there'll be at least one Japanese player who brings.
Do you think is it one or is it? Is it one or is it 3? I guess that's the big question.
I think it's like one.
One. Alright, I'm okay with that. I think Vivillon definitely has a niche. Obviously, you know, decently fast sleep powder, friend guard, redirection, tailwind. Like it has the tools, it just doesn't have the stats.
Yeah, it's so frail.
Do you? I'll rapid fire some more off here. What do you think about Florges? I know Florges has some potential when paired up with the Paradox ones in particular, because with Symbiosis you can pass, like say for example a Roaring Moon, you can go attack booster and then just like pass it a Scarf. You know, even Fluttermane like go speed booster, pass it a Specs. So there are
Ursaluna, you can burn it and then pass it an item to attack with.
Oh, I didn't even know it did that. So I think it has a niche. But do you think anyone brings it 1 to 3 times? I guess is the big question here.
I'm gonna doubt it.
You doubt it?
If we're gonna see a quirky Trick Room mon, there's just like other ones.
I want to.
Girafarig is gonna be big.
I'm gonna say F tier because I think there's a chance one gets. I think there's a chance.
I don't hate it.
What about Chestnut? Obviously, it's been running around. I think is it like what the Iron Defense body press set with Terra, plus Bulletproof. I think has been running around a bit. Like it's a really good mon into Fluttermane because it can't it can't Shadow Ball it, and then you just Terra into something that resists the Ghost typing. I think so. The Ghost type is that what people are using? I forget exactly what they were using, but no, sorry, you resist the Moonblast. So you Terra to something that resists the Moonblast. You can't be hit by Shadow Ball. You like hard wallet. And you can just go Iron Defense body press. You get stab body press. I think it's decent, but again, like maybe it gets played once. Again,
Yeah.
like we're talking about the world championships here, right? Like I don't see, I just can't see like 10 people pulling out a chestnut at Worlds.
No, it's the kind of thing is like if someone has a really visionary team and does really well with one of these like F or D tier mons, like that could happen. But that's still gonna like we're guessing percentage. So
Yeah, exactly. Salazzle, do you think there's a chance like it gets played? It's like I think what fastest fake out mon we have, probably doesn't get played though. I think the power creep's probably a little too much for it now.
yeah.
Quickly rapid fire them off. Do you think the Avalogs do anything? I think even under Trick Room, they're still not that good.
I don't think they do anything.
Do you think anyone's bringing Klefki as their screen setter? Like maybe one?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, more than those last few that we've tiered. I guess I see Klefki over Chestnut.
Yeah.
Or
Florges. Part of me really wants to like put Florges there. We'll keep it. Talonflame. I actually think this one's a bit slept on right now. Because one thing Talonflame has is a faster Tailwind than the Tornadus. So it kind of removes that taunt matchup that a lot of like people like find themselves in, right? Where it's like, you know, is my opponent max speed? Am I faster than him? Can I just taunt him? You know, blah blah blah. And I do think, you know, Talonflame's interesting for that like that matchup in particular. I just don't know if it's like, you know, it's probably more of like a D tier mon. Like I think it might, you know, come, you know, somewhere between that like 5 to 10 times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I could see him.
Yeah. I'll keep it there. Lucha, do you think we see it in Psychic Terrain at all?
I do not. Maybe F.
Yeah, I agree. There might be someone crazy enough to bring it. Pains me to say it, Noivern, no. Normal Gudra, no. Hisuian Gudra, interesting mon. A lot of, you know, top players are saying this mon's fell off. I don't think it fell off, but I definitely think it is easier to counter than originally anticipated.
Yeah.
How do you feel about
it? I believe in Gudra, but I haven't used it myself. I've just struggled against it mostly, so maybe I'm bad.
I love Hisuian Gudra. I've played it quite a bit. My only thing is, like, do I think this gets more play than Urshi? Probably not, but I think it definitely gets more play than Talon and Volk. So I think CT is probably where I want to stick with that one.
Definitely.
What about Sylveon? This is one that's kind of been on the rise recently. It's kind of like a bulkier Flutter main, right? In a sense, like obviously it doesn't have the same speed, but it fires off, you know, pretty powerful hyper voice, pixelated hyper voice is what I'm trying to say. It's a pretty good user of the Terra type. I think it's just a decent mod. Probably doesn't see too much play, but I think someone will bring it.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
Like, I mean, I think D tier, like, I think it'll probably get picked at least 3 times, and because of that, I'm happy to put it D. Like, I don't think it's on the level of Talon and Volk, but definitely up there. What about Oranguru? This is a really interesting one, because I do think if you get up Trick Room next to Ursaluna can, like, run through teams. Like, obviously, Earthquake next to, what's its ability? Is it not telekinesis, is it? What's it called? Telepathy, that's the one. Yeah, Earthquake next to Telepathy could be really good. Obviously, you know, 2 Facades is always like kind of nutty coming off a burnt one. I think it's decent. Again, I think it's just D tier though. I don't think many people are gonna bring it.
Yes.
What about
it is quirky and it do Trick Room stuff though.
Yeah, I agree. Serena. Now this is an interesting one. But I just don't think it's gonna see play over Giraffe. It might get a couple, like 1 or 2, but I mean, I think it's decent. You know, Queenly Majesty is like a great ability, especially, you know, with things like Qianpao running around. Sorry, Qianpao plus D-Knight. But again, I think it's so bad into Qianpao that I just don't see it really getting much play.
Yeah, I don't like Serena.
Yeah, I'll quickly throw the Aura Couriers up here. Mimikyu. How do you think Mimikyu goes at this event? Because I think Mimikyu has an interesting niche in the meta. But I don't think it's like... I don't think it's like crazy. Like, again, I think this is probably like a D tier mon. Like, it probably gets played. I think it has a pretty good matchup into Fluttermane. Obviously the ability to like snipe Fluttermane's like pretty good. Outside of that though, I don't really know what else it kind of does. Which is like I shouldn't say I don't know what it does. It still hits decently hard. Its ability is fantastic. It has Shadow Sneak, which is obviously really good. Like really strong priority, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's hard to bring them on like Mimikyu if you're like really aiming to win the world championship.
Yeah, there's other Trick Room setters. I think that's the best role for it, probably. But
yeah, I know it's in a very interesting spot, that's for sure. I guess Lycan Rock here. So I got rid of the other Lycan Rocks just because they don't really do anything. Do you think there's a world where we see this thing on a sand team, basically, with our boy Tita?
I could see it up at 1%.
Maybe D? Yeah.
Actually, like the sand teams do technically have like Landorus to play with now.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I get Sheer Force. It actually feels so weird for me though to say like this mon's on the same level as like Volcarona. But again, when you're playing with things like percentages, it's always hard, right? Like maybe we could have shifted the numbers a little bit, but yeah, I definitely think you'll probably see more than 3 picks, especially too because no one's really preparing for sand. There might be some team that like comes out and can like really abuse the sand, but yeah, we'll see. Mudsdale, very interesting mon, pretty decent into the current meta, like in the sense that it's like all physical. I just don't think it wants to play into things like Urshi, right? It's kind of like a Terra Hog if you do bring
the problem.
Like I could maybe see like one person bringing it, but
its best ability is stamina, right?
Yeah, and Urshi kind of crits through it, and it's
Urshi ignores that.
I'm gonna check there. Do you think Decky Dewey does anything?
No.
Dreadnought on Rain, probably not, right? I think there's just like if you gotta run Rain, just run Basque Legion.
Same with Urshifu.
Yeah, same with Barrascuda, right? Like why run this when you could run like Urshi or Barrascuda? Sorry, Urshi or Basque Legion. What do you think about Corv? Big Corviknight?
Probably 1%, as much as it pains me personally. I think people will bring it, but it's just not gonna be.
Yeah, look, I agree. I think Bulk Up Corv's pretty good. I think it definitely does things, and yeah, like
I think it could. I think it could do well on a team at Worlds. Yeah. I just don't think that many people are gonna bring it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now Indeedee female. I'm a bit of a connoisseur for the old Indeedee. I think this is. I lied earlier when I was talking about redirection. I think this is probably the second best redirection mod in the game. I think this with
you
Rocky
did say
helmet,
Volcarona was third best.
Yeah, and I said Mousehold was second, or like those two were there. I do think Indeedee's probably number 2. I completely forgot about this mod. I'm sure someone's gonna say that in the comments. But what do you think about Indeedee female? I kind of want to put it like in the B tier here. Give us our first B mod. But again, I don't know if people are gonna run this when you know there's options like the Amoonguth or like a Farigiraf that kind of do a similar job.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Farigiraf, I mean, I don't know how much to stake on my own ladder experience, but I've seen a lot of Farigiraf lately.
Yeah, so have I.
I've noticed that people are, and you see it in the tournament results too.
Do you think B
so
for this?
that's my only. I don't hate it at B at all. I agree with you. It's like a really good. I don't know if more people that it like the Urshifu keeps testing me with this tier.
Yeah, like I'm looking at Urshi. I think this.
Yeah.
I look at these mons here because like again I think this could honestly be a B tier mon. I just don't think it gets played more than Urshi, which is like kind of my issue with it.
One of these might end up at like 8%, but they're going to be closer to 10.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I think that's kind of the issue when you're talking about like a 10% mark, right? Is it's like it's in between 5 and 20, so it is a pretty big gap. But look, I'm going to move them to B. I think that's all right. Pincurchin, the only electric terrain user we have in the game, is getting absolutely no play. Isn't it crazy how bad this one is as it's set up?
It is.
It's sad. Speaking of terrain setters, though, we now have probably the best terrain setter in the game, big Rillaboom here. What do you think on this big guy here?
It's either a 10 or a 20%. You're leaning 20%.
Me saying this thing is 10, ridiculous. I think this is a 20%. Because again, I'm in a situation where I think Shroom is going to be like probably 30 to 35, and I think Rilla's going to be like a solid 20 to 25. Like, I think this mon is fantastic. I think it is arguably the best fake out mon we have right now. It's probably right there with hands. Its ability to carry AV and be insanely bulky, on top of like being able to just like one shot like all flutter mains, also is like insane. Like the ability just to remove that mon without like much like investment is crazy to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. It's definitely good.
Power Spot, Stone Journer, probably 0 play, right? I don't think it does anything.
It could be an F.
An F?
But yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm okay with that because I do think there are people out there who like pairing it with like Flutter
results. Yeah, like quite a few in the earlier formats.
I think it's really good next to Speed Booster Fluttermane, which I do think is creeping up like in the lead up to Worlds. Like so, like if you're gonna go,
also just go ahead.
I was gonna say like Fluttermane loses the the damage when it goes Speed Booster. but like you put it like next to Stone Journal, and all of a sudden you get that special attack back. And like, correct me if I'm wrong, but this thing gets Wide Guard, right? Which is like really good into like Fluttermane mirrors as well.
And it gets Helping Hand.
Yeah, I think it's like a decently good support. I definitely think there's going to be a Japanese player that brings it for sure, though.
No one calcs with that either, is what
exactly,
I was
exactly.
Like, no one calcs with what is the power spot?
Yeah, you just look at it and you just like you've got no idea how much damage it's actually going to do. Next up, Big Grim. So I love screens. I think screens are really good right now. The issue is how consistent can they be over like, what is it? Is it like 13 rounds of Swiss or something they've got to play?
And half against Urshifu.
Yeah, and I just worry about Urshi critting you and then just random crits, basically. You know, for example, I would have had way worse results at OCIC if I didn't crit through screens. My Specs Fluttermane crit a Gastro from like 70% with light screen up. And it literally won me the series. Like, I would have lost the series if it wasn't for that, so...
Right next to Gudra makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah.
Because I think almost any screens team has to have a Gudra, I think.
I agree. Big Hat. We've seen this guy on Sunroom. I don't know how good Trick Room's going to be at this event, though. I feel like a lot of people are going to have a way to deal with it, especially with Ursaluna running around.
I think there are better Trick Room mons it's competing with, too. That's part of the problem. I mean, Fairy typing's good.
Fairy Psychic 2 is good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good typing. It's got a really high special attack stat. It's got a pretty good ability. It'll be on a couple teams, but yeah. Maybe it could end... I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up as an actual F percentage of less than 1.
Yeah.
But I think someone will bring it for sure.
Yeah. All right, now, I know your favorite Pokemon in the game. Last time we did a Reg C tier list, you voted this one pretty high. Where do you think Dragapult lives?
You think it's 5%?
No, I just dropped it there just so it wasn't like sitting on the end. But I definitely could see it getting 5%. Because 5% is like roughly 15 picks. And I know for a fact there are people bringing it to this event. I know people personally bringing it. And because of that...
That's a little inside information.
Yeah, because of that, I know it's at least D tier. But whether or not you want to go D or C, for me, look, I love this mon. I think it's probably on a similar tier to Volk, where it's probably like top of D. Probably gets maybe 10 to 15 plays. But in saying that too, obviously that Terra Ghost set has been running around. It's also like really good into the what is it, the D Knight stuff as well. Like Sean Ghost types are always good. Obviously, it beats, you know, things like Booster Flutter, that's like, sorry, Booster Special Flutter or Specs Flutter. But I do think the rise of Speed Booster Flutter, sorry, is what's going to kind of be this month's downfall leading into Worlds.
Yeah, that is kind of what I was going to say, is the problem with a Pokemon that's going to live based on its speed is the photosynthesis ability. It can ruin your speed tiers at that level.
I'm happy to say top of D. I would not be surprised if it was at the bottom of C, though. So
I wouldn't for the record, I wouldn't actually be surprised either if it ends up at 5%.
Yeah, a great mon. I love it. Definitely one of my favorite mons in the format. Chilling Nay, do you think Glastrier gets any play? Like, maybe, I think at least one person brings it, right? I think the mon's too good not to bring.
Yeah, yes. I can't believe it hasn't performed, honestly. Like,
I think it's move pool.
Such a monster.
I think it's move pool is what's letting it down. I think if it had Icicle Spears, I think this mon would like genuinely be like a BC tier mon. But having its like only like stab move being Icicle Crash, I think just ruins it. Like, if it just had anything else to like do like some offense with, I think this mon would be better. But yeah, I do think Crash is what lets it down. What about Spectrier? I actually think Spectrier is like incredibly slept on. I think this is an amazing support mon and also like a really good late game sweeper. I just don't know if people are going to justify this over the you know, top 3 ghost types in the format.
Man,
yeah. I mean, even like top 5, right? There's other ghost types like we're going to see, you know, one coming up shortly as well. I think that is a bit better than it too. But do you think we see, you know, at least 3 picks? Like, I still think it's really good, right? It has Snarl, it has Willow. You know, it can hex, like sweep things, especially like with things like Grimmsnarl. Like behind screens, this mon can actually like sweep with like T-Wave and like hex.
I would actually be surprised if there are less of this than like a few other mons in the D tier. Actually, I think.
You know, I agree. So, yeah. I think it probably gets a bit more play. Yeah. Big Regieleki coming into the format. A lot of people would have told you it was S tier. I think it's probably C. I think it gets play. I think it's underrated right now. But I don't know how many people are going to bring this thing, because I feel like with the priority in the format, things like E-Speed, Sucker Punch just like one-shot it before it gets to move. But I do think there's going to be a team with like, you know, say something like an Indeedee that can really allow it to thrive.
It has a niche for sure still. It's just not laughable.
Do you think, see, the question is, do you think it's like a C tier niche, right? Because like I think Dragapult's a better Pokemon than it right now, but I think it has the potential to be better than Dragapult in the meta. That's kind of where I'm leaning with it.
The thing is, like what we were just talking about with Dragapult's speed, like Regieleki has the kind of like crazy speed stat to actually secure like I am going to be faster.
Yeah,
especially like we've seen some people using Scarf Aleki.
Yeah, I mean a good example too of Regieleki is a non-invested Aleki actually still outspeeds max speed bundle. So you can go like modest like Scarf and you will always outspeed any bundle, and you can invest like 252 points into bulk, or 256, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my hot take is it's going to be a C tier pick. I think this is one of those mons that a lot of people have been sleeping on, and like not sleeping on, sorry, a lot of people have been hiding, right? Like you don't want to show that you're playing Regieleki. And yeah, I don't know, hot take, I just think it's going to be a C tier mod. I think this mon gets played probably 15 times, at least.
I wouldn't be that surprised.
Now it's good friend Regidrago. Obviously a mon on the rise. I could potentially see this mon being like a B tier. I think it's probably just going to be C tier though.
I think you're right, but I think it's going to have good results.
Personally. Oh, so do I. I would not be surprised if we see like 3 of these in the top 16. Like I think this mon on the right team is absolutely bonkers. Like it puts out so much damage, it's kind of nutty.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm happy to keep it in C tier for now. I do think it's probably like top of the C tier though. I think it's better than all of these mons here. And I also do think it's a great partner with Indeedee as well. Alright, I'll probably got a little bit more rapid fire coming up here.
How do you say this?
Weird ear.
Weird ear.
Yeah, I don't think it gets any play. Maybe one, maybe like there's some Japanese player, but I don't think it's worth it. Big Cleave. Now, I do know Cleaver was being played on a lot of the HO teams to break sashes. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see it in like either F or D here. But I'm not really comfortable putting it any higher. Like, I do think it's probably, I think maybe D tier, actually.
I think it's D.
I think it's better than everything in that F tier there. Big Sneasler. Another hot take. I think this mon is one of the best mons that is not getting played. Like, this is like one of my other hot takes of the format. I think this mon is like really good, and people just aren't using it for some unknown reason. Especially due with how good the terrain users we have are. And like, Diaclaws is also just broken. So,
yeah.
But yeah,
I don't have a great answer for why people aren't using it, because I haven't tried to use it.
I do not have an answer either why, and it pains me because as I said, I genuinely think this mon should be at least a C tier mon. I think Diaclaw is a busted ability with terrain plus seed. It makes it incredibly bulky on top of the fact that it's just outspeeds everything in the format, right? Like it has fake out, it has, you know, terrifying acrobatics, has an insanely high attack stat. Like I think this mon so good. I don't know why people aren't playing it. My hot take would be C tier, but I feel a little less comfortable with this one than I do Aleki.
Maybe it's just the poison typing. Like,
True.
It's that simple. It just loses to Fluttermane.
Yeah, maybe. Alright, so the Enamorous forms. Do you think these guys see much play at all? That maybe like D tier mons, both of them? I don't really think we see too much out of them.
Yeah, I think theoretically, like, the other one is slightly better and has more of a niche, because I feel like...
about this one here?
No, the other one.
Oh, this, yeah.
The slower one.
I agree. I feel like a lot of people are running the Incarnate form more, but I do think the Therian form is probably the best of the two.
Yeah. Well, the other one, it just feels mostly like it's outclassed by Fluttermane. And the thick one, I could at least see like, oh, we're going to make a Trick Room team with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it can't get spored, so that's kind of cool.
I agree. I do think the Therian form here is definitely underrated. And I do think the Incarnate form has plays with like, what's it called? Thunderous. But again, I don't know how much it gets played. Overquill, do you think this gets played once? Probably not, right? I don't really think it does it. Big Bad Basculegion. Obviously one of the, the dynamic duo and Rain here. I'm thinking either C or B, probably closer to C, just because B tier is like quite a lot of Rain teams, and I don't know how many people are going to run Rain.
Yeah, I think you're right. It would be a B if Urshifu Water wasn't a thing.
Yeah, I agree. And look, this one does function outside of Rain as well. Like I've seen like the AV adaptability sets. But again, I think it's in a weird spot where it's like probably the 4th best ghost type in the format. Arguably like probably the 3rd or 4th best water type as well. But yeah, I still think it's solid. Decently bulky, hits pretty hard, but yeah, I think C's fine.
Yeah.
Female version probably just doesn't see any play, right?
No.
All right, yeah, we'll talk about Ursaluna now. Big Bad Ursaluna, definitely a B tier mon, I think. Potentially A. I don't know if it's gonna get like a 20% usage though. What do you think?
I think B, personally.
I do think it's slept on. I've been personally running Max Speed Luna recently, and I think it's really good. I think overall, just a fantastic mon. If this mon gets the burn up and has any form of speed control, whether that be, you know, Tailwind plus Icy Wind or Trick Room, this mon just, it can just rip straight through teams. I think it's crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
I think it's really fun.
I'll rapid fire a couple here. Do you want to say anything about the starter Pokemon? Do you think any of them get any play at all?
Maybe Meowscarada. Maybe
I would agree. I would say Meowscarada F, and then
F.
Part of me wants to say Skeleturge F too, but probably not.
No,
Quackleval definitely
no.
doesn't see any play. Yeah. Do you
There
think...
might be someone who shows up and just for fun, if they're not like serious about the game, they bring like 3.
But this is the World
Most
Championships.
of those people don't go to. There was a year where Ray Rizzo went to Worlds and like wasn't serious and brought a team that had all 3 starters. That's what I thought of when I.
Okay. My bad. Houndstone, do you think we see it on any sand team? Like maybe one?
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable with it in F if we're putting Meowscarada in F.
You're uncomfortable with it?
I'm comfortable with it in F.
I'll leave it there. Do you think we see any Gravity Cheese with her Sparthra? Like maybe one?
F also.
Yeah. The Giraffe. Now,
Probably.
I'm a believer in the Giraffe, actually. I think probably 5%. I think this
Yeah,
one's...
I like C for it.
Yeah, I think it's actually a bit slept on. I know a lot of people in the community kind of hate on it. Like, I've spoken to a couple people who tell me they're, like, not afraid of the Giraffe at all. But I think what it does, like, it's kind of like Gastrodon in a sense where sometimes you don't have to bring this mon for it to be valuable. You can kind of, like, leave it in the back and they're just like, shit, like, maybe I don't bring my, you know, maybe I don't bring my D-Knight this game or something like that, you know. Like, it's also good for just, like, bluffing, like, you know, for example, like, people run it with Dragapult because you can't, like, you don't want to Sucker Punch if you haven't seen the Giraffe. It's like, if you click Sucker Punch, he swaps in the Giraffe, he just KOs you.
Yeah. Priority control is very good right now. I personally, like, feel that way about draft, like people say. Like, when I see it instead of a crest, I'm like, money, I can actually OHKO that. But, like, it's pretty clear, like, for some Trick Room teams, it's just, like, more optimally what they want. Like, with the things it provides, like you said, like, every turn you click a priority move, if there's not one on the field, you're thinking about whether it's going to get swapped in. I think that's really big for a Trick Room team when priority is so strong.
Yeah,
being able to counterplay that is so big.
Especially when you're at the World Championships where it's kind of like everyone is like on their A game, right? Or at least like most people are, right? Like when I'm at Worlds, I don't think I'm going to get some guy slipping who's like not thinking about that guy, you know, the Giraffe in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Your opponent is going to be considering it every turn.
Yeah. I'm going to quickly put these two together. Big Bad Don Bozo. Do you think this guy gets the A tier? Because, like, another hot take of mine is Dozo plus Tatsu is, like, a strat we haven't seen that much because a lot of people are like, shit, I gotta save this for Worlds. Like, I don't want people knowing how good this thing is. Because, like, at the end of the day, Dozo is, like, always going to be in a position where if you just lead something offensive, take a KO, then get your Dozo in somewhat safely, it's gonna sweep. And because of that, like, I'm so torn between A and, like, B tier. Like, I think it's potential, like, definitely at least B tier. Maybe A tier, but I'm not 100% sold on it getting that much play.
I would say B, but it is very hard to predict because of the dynamic that you're talking about people keeping it secret. And I think it makes a ton of sense because, like, if people are running Dozo, people are going to run Clear Smogamungus. Like, it's one of the things where you want to pick it at the right time when people have dropped their Dondozo answers.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of feel like that's what Worlds is looking like right now. I guess speaking of answers too, the next one's Big Palafin. This mon has basically died in Regulation D, and I do not know why. I think Palafin is still insanely good. I don't know if this is another one of those world techs where people.
I mean, it's Urshifu. It's the Urshifu is why, you know.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know. I still just think it has things over Urshi, but I don't know. Look, maybe you're right. Maybe Urshi's just that much better than it.
Urshi is very good, and Urshi is easier to use.
Yeah,
and slap
exactly.
on
It's
more
more
teams.
consistent, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to look at it. I think maybe D2 though. I think it gets a little bit of play.
I don't hate it at all. I mean, the thing is so good. I really do think it's the competition for the slot is its biggest problem right now.
No, I get that. I get that. I'm a believer in this thing, but I don't think it gets any play. Do you have any thoughts on that
Me
one?
neither. I don't think anyone brings it.
Do you think the worm gets any play? I think maybe like F or D.
Maybe F, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about as likely as Esperanza.
Yeah. Big bad Mousehold here. I think it's definitely a C tier one. I think it's probably number 3 in terms of redirection. I think it's better than definitely better than, I don't want to say definitely better than Volk, but the pairing with the ape obviously I think gives it that edge in that regard.
Mouse Ape is a little more popular in Japan, isn't it?
Yes, I do believe they love it over there.
So yeah, maybe because there will be so many Japanese players, it gets a little bit of a.
Do we want to put them together, or do we think Mouse is going to be just better than Ape? Like, I mean, obviously, I think Mouse sees play without Ape, but I don't think Ape sees play without Mouse.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, there might be some guy who's like Scarf Final Gambit, but its speed tier really isn't fast enough for that anymore, I guess.
So do you both in C, or do you reckon we move the Ape to D tier here?
I think they should be together.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's good.
Yeah.
Baxcalibur, one of my favorite mons in the game. I think it's probably D tier, right? I think it sees some play, but probably not consistent enough to be like a C tier.
Yeah, it's another one of those mons in that tier that I wouldn't be that surprised if it's on a team that does really well. But yeah, probably low pick.
Yeah. Do you think we see any port mod, like maybe one revival blessing with like a Gozo?
Yeah. It's one of those. Flamigo, same.
Do you think Wolfie's bringing the boys back together, or?
I hope not. I hope we can move on.
Yeah. Like, look, I haven't checked Victory Road, so I don't know what he's actually running, but yeah, who knows? Big Bad Garg. Obviously, I love Garg. I think it's a cool mon. Do you think it gets D tier, or are we talking F here? I don't think it gets much play.
It has a pretty bad matchup into Urshifu.
Yeah,
I think
really.
there is probably someone who brings it, but probably like a couple people.
Glamora is another hot take mon for me. I think this mon is another really underrated mon right now. But I don't know if it like gets the same plays like an Annihilate here in the issue. I think it's probably like a D tier.
Yeah, probably. I haven't seen it around, but I believe in it. Like,
Yeah.
I brought it to a regional, so I love this thing.
I think it's good. Bramblegas, obviously the counter to the meta. You know, it eats wood hammers, it eats spores. You can't, Bleak Wind Storm it. With Rocky Helmet, it resists the Urshifus both at stabs. Absolute counter to the meta. Probably like a D tier. Do you think it gets C, or is it like just?
I don't know if it's D. I just don't know how like it. Yeah, it's immune to a bunch of moves.
It also in Tailwind it one shots Flutter Main.
Okay. With
Shadow Sneak.
Force?
Nah, Shadow Sneak. +1 sneak. Obviously, if they terror, it's a bit different. But yeah, I'm pretty sure a +1 sneak will KO. But this one hits hard. It's got like base 115. It can also run things like not boost energy, loaded dice, bullet seed. I think it gets some play. I think there are people who are going to use it even as like a defensive pivot. I know people were running it as like their Urshi answer because like your only answer is to Surging Strike it and you resist it and have Rocky Helmet. Like you can't CC it. So like you have to Surging Strike it. And Urshi too is commonly paired up with things like Tornadus, and Tornadus can't hit it either. So yeah.
Okay. I would never. I don't know. I just had a pit in my stomach thinking about bringing that thing to a tournament.
Yeah, but I wouldn't do it, but I think there's someone crazy enough to. Golden Joe. Do you think this is potentially an S tier mon? I don't think it is. I'd probably lean towards A.
Yeah, I think it's A.
Yeah, I definitely think it's in one of those positions where it is just the best answer to fairy types in the game, and like Make It Rain is like busted. And I think honestly, if Flutter Mane didn't exist, like it's so weird too, because I do think like it's obviously one of the best answers to Flutter Mane with Terror, but like I don't know, dude. I feel like if Flutter Mane didn't exist, this would be like the premier ghost type, which I mean it is probably the second best ghost type right now, but its ability's dumb.
It's so good. It's so consistent. It gets different stats. The trick has been going up a lot.
Yeah,
I feel like
the choice plus trick is really good. But yeah, I think Probably the best steel type in the game, second best ghost type in the game, best signature move in the game. Like the mon's good. There's not really much else we can say. Big Tusk. Do you think Big Tusk sees any play? I love Tusk. I brought this thing to OCIC, but I think it has fallen off a cliff harder than any mon throughout Scarlet and Violet. Maybe
that's kind of weird. Like where there's ground types just don't get to exist in this meta.
Well, I think the biggest issue is
Lando.
like if you look at all the good mons that just came back, it's like Cresselia came back. We got all the genies came back, so that's like 5 mons automatically that are off the ground. Yeah, it just puts it in this like really weird spot where I think the AV set on this mon's actually really underrated on Sun, but it just feels weird to not pair this thing up with like Tailwind and Attack Booster. Like it hits so damn hard. But obviously I think the genies are just too good into this one. Like I think it's probably F. I don't even think we can put it in the D tier, which is like crazy to me to say that like Bramble Gas is like potentially higher than it.
That is so weird.
But I think Bramble Gas just has a better place in the current meta, unfortunately. We'll try rapid fire some of these off as we are taking some time. Brute Bonnet, D tier. I think it's decent, but Shroom is just better.
I think it's probably F with its typing.
You think F?
That's okay.
No, I'm okay with F as well. I don't think it's that great. I love Sandy Shocks. It's probably just F tier, right? Then again, same thing with the Sparth, right? If we're gonna put a Sparth in the F tier, I think Sandy Shocks goes here as well. Big Screamtail, obviously, you know, a fantastic support. Do you think it sees enough play to get C tier, or are we kind of leaning towards D here?
I think it's D. I think there are good things it does. But
I agree. It's hard for me to say this thing gets more play than Volcarona, and I do think like Volcarona is like the top of the D tier. All right, well, I guess Fluttermane. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards F for this one.
Oh, easy.
No
one likes it.
It does a couple things all right. Obviously, you know, it's really quick. It hits really hard. You know, it's got like, you know, Shadow Ball, which is like incredibly hard to switch into. The only things that really switch into it are like, you know, Dark types, which like obviously you don't want to switch into the Moonblast. I think it's going to be the #1 mon at Worlds. I think it's been the #1 mon in every format it's been in, and I think it may continue to be the #1 mon in every format for the rest of Scarlet and Violet. Even when we get to the restricted mons, I think this guy could still be #1. Anything else you want to say? I think it's S tier.
Are going to be really interesting, is what I have to say.
I agree.
With a restricted meta, but yeah, it's definitely S, obviously, and I think it probably finishes higher than Urshifu. Yeah.
I mean, not only do I think it's a better mon than Urshifu, it is also the counter to Urshifu. So, well, not the counter, but it's Urshi doesn't want to see this.
Yeah.
Big Slither, I love it. It's F tier. I don't think Joe brings it for his girlfriend. I don't actually think it probably gets any play. What do you think? Are we going F or are we going 0% here?
I think Slitherwing is very bad.
Yeah, I agree. Big rip. My guy, Big Moon. Love Roaring Moon. It's probably just a D tier. I think it gets some play. I know there are like people like, you know, Neil VGC who love it as well. But I just don't think there are enough people behind it. Like the typing to like, it's in one of the like same position to like Dark Urshi where like Fluttermane just insta kills it. Like you have to Terra if you see Fluttermane. It outspeeds you and it always one-shots you. So,
yeah, it's a project.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think if you love it and you, exactly. Like I built a team at the start of Scarlet and Violet with one of the homies and he was able to get I think second at a local with it, and like he really enjoyed the team. But obviously I think the team has to be specifically built around it like what we did. Iron Treads, just 0%, right?
Yeah, 0%.
I'll quickly do these. As much as it pains me, I love Iron Jugulus, and I think when we finally get like a good electric terrain mon, it might come back. But I just don't think it's getting any play. Same with you. What about Moth? Do you think Moth is F tier? Like, I feel like Moth's actually a decent mon.
I think it's F tier. Yeah.
I think it might get 1 or 2.
There's not ground types around, which is good for it too.
Yeah. All right, we got 2 of the better mons here. Do you think Iron Hands gets up to 20% is my question. Because I think it's definitely a B tier. Without a doubt, I think this is the other primary like fake out mon in the format. It's the best electric type we have in the format. It is sadly probably like the 2nd or 3rd best fighting type in the format. But obviously I think the fighting typing right now is still pretty decent. What do you reckon, B or A?
I think it gets more play than Urshifu Dark. I don't know if it gets all the way to 20%, but I'm fine with either tier.
That's what I feel like, right? I feel like this is a mon that will hit like 17, 18%. Like I think it's like definitely the top of B. Like I think that and Luna are right there at that like that top end of the B tier. I think this probably even sees more play than Ursaluna, just because I think it has a lot more utility. With
Yeah.
things like obviously Voltage, Fake Out. Yeah. And then I guess Iron Bundle, one of my favorite mons in the format. I think Hydro Pump literally puts this mon straight to the C tier. I think if it had like Skull, this mon would honestly be A tier. Like, I think it's insanely good. Really solid like offensive typing, really good stat spread. Sadly, just Hydro Pump sucks. So.
Scald's coming back.
No, I'm saying if this mon had Skull, it would be like an A tier.
Yeah, I know it's coming back.
Oh, it is. Oh.
Yeah, I think that was confirmed.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's really cool. Yeah, I love Bundle. I think C tier. What do you reckon? I still think it's probably a similar spot to like Reggie.
I think you're right. I think especially with booster speed Flutter, it has a place, but it's yeah. Hydro Pump do be inconsistent.
Yeah. Iron Valiant, probably just F tier, right? Doesn't see any play.
Yeah.
Talking about mons that have fallen off, Ting Lu now.
The face of the earth.
Yeah. This mon is interesting to me because, like, obviously it's bad into the Urshis, right? But I still think this mon is insanely good. Like, I think this is another mon where people might be saving this for the World Championships. Like, I just can't believe it's fallen off the way it has. I think it's still fantastic. Like, obviously, Urshi, the Urshis kind of, like, fuck it up. Outside of the Urshis, though, this mon's fantastic. Like, I think it's insanely good. Like, at Hard Walls, Golden Go, it's really good into Flutter Main.
I think there's a really good screens team that some really smart person has made that probably has a Tinglu on it.
Yeah, see,
to support Nudra.
I'm, like, in a position where I genuinely do think Tinglu is, like, I think it's worthy of C tier. And it's just so hard based on recent results, right? Like, part of me looking at it is, like, this is a C tier mon. Get it, like, it's gonna get played, but I'm just also sitting here
looking
thinking,
at
like,
good Pokemon that are underused, it definitely stands out for sure.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm in this really weird spot with it where I'm like, I want to put it up there, but like, I don't know, I think probably like top of D tier. I do think this is gonna be one of the standout surprise picks at Worlds. I think it will definitely see more play than it's getting right now.
You think it's gonna get a good result?
Oh yeah. So I think it could be like 2 top 16s. That's basically how I would look at them on like that, right? Also, I'm assuming you've got no issues with me just like fucking rapid firing.
No.
Alright, I'll leave it. Actually no, we'll go this guy here too. Yeah, you can get out of here too. We'll keep going. We'll leave it there. I like that. Chen Pao. I think this is probably a top 5 mon in the game. I think it's an easy A tier. I don't think it hits enough percentage to get S. Yeah. It's clearly going to be an A tier though. I think this is, in what is already such a physically dominated format, it is like arguably the best support for like physical attackers, and it also just puts out a ridiculous amount of damage by itself. So I think easy
between Amoonguss and Torn feels really right to me.
Yeah, I think like these 3 probably round out the top 5. Like if I had to guess, this is your top 5 mons right here, with like these 2 like kind of like at the tail end of the 5. Wo Chen, I think, I don't know if Moxie's playing at Worlds. I think he might be. Because of that, I think it's F tier.
It tried its best.
Yeah. It's really sad too. It's so crazy to me that like the Ruin mon that is like the best into like physical attackers is the worst Ruin mon, and it's not even close. I guess that's the
really bad typing.
Yeah, Pain of the Grass type, sadly. Chi-Yu, one of my personal favorites. Probably like a top 2 mon for me this gen. I think it's probably just B tier. I think it's arguably the best fire type in the format. It's right there. It has a lot of good utility. Obviously fantastic with Flutter Main. Do you think it's worthy of being an A tier, or do you think it's more close to B?
It is a volatile mon that fits on less teams just because of its ability. Certain teams that are going to value the bulk over it, but I definitely think it's a B tier.
I was talking to one of the homies today about it, and like I was saying, like I love this mon. I ran it really high up on ladder, but even if I was playing at Worlds, I wouldn't bring it simply because Heatwave can miss. Like if Heatwave didn't miss, I think this mon would be straight up A tier. But because like you can miss like 10% of the time, it just feels bad. And you always miss the mon you need to hit. Like it'll be like an Amoonguss and a D-Knight on the board, and you'll hit the D-Knight every fucking time, and then you won't burn it, and then Amoonguss will sleep you, and it's rough. Tinkerton, do you think it gets any play? I think it's decent into D-Knight, obviously with Mob Breaker Fake Out, but that's about it.
Yeah, F.
I think someone crazy might bring it 1 or 2 times. Spam. Obviously, we've got the Indeedee. Where do we put Indeedee? Is it Indeedee's B? So do you think this thing's C, or do you think it's D?
It's tough. I don't play that archetype. I see it around I definitely think there will be some.
But for
but,
me, it's one of those world's calls, right? Like I'm looking at this mon and thinking like, hey, with the like in a format where Ting Lu and like Roaring Moon were both considered probably like A tiers, I was like, yeah, you can't really play it. But in a format where the best dark type is Qian Pao, and then like we do see obviously the Urshi Dark and the Chiyu, but like we're now in a situation where there's only really 3 good dark types, and like not every team has one of them like it did in the past. Like for me, that's the big difference here. Is like
That's fair.
Yeah. Also, how did these guys?
Ting Lu gone is massive.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I don't know. I'm in a situation where I think it could be one of the meta calls for Worlds. Its counterpart though, I absolutely love this mon. I just think it's F tier. I think it doesn't get much play. I think it's I don't know. I think it's in a weird position where it's like it can maybe do something. I just don't see it doing anything.
I haven't seen one.
Yeah, actually, yeah, true. Like, I think, you know what? Yeah, you've sold me. I don't think I don't think I've seen one either, even on low ladder. King Gambit, really solid mon. I think, especially going into Worlds, it's a consistent one. Do you think it makes the C tier, or do you think it's probably closer to D?
I think it could make the C tier.
I
just
think
because, like, being a little more consistent into Flutter main.
Yeah, I agree. I do think it's in a weird position where it's like, how do I want to explain this? Like, I think coming into a format like Worlds, it's just a consistent mon, right? You slap it on your team, you give it like AV or black glasses, and it always puts in work. Like, you're not worried about this thing dying unless you get hit by a fighting type move. You're always going to be able to live something. It has like a really good sucker punch. I think it's just a really solid mon, especially like
And we see players coming back to it all formats.
Yeah, exactly. Azu has the probably the best typing into the current meta. Completely hardballs Hershey, Rapid, and Dark actually. It hardballs both of them. Do you think it gets out of the D tier? Like it could honestly be F. It's probably a little understated, sadly, but I still think its typing's fantastic. Its ability's fantastic.
It's another one that I wouldn't be that baffled if it got like a pretty good result on like 1 or 2 teams, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was was it Colin Battle Room who was like running it at one stage?
I don't know.
Like, call me crazy. Also, quick side note, I put Gallade in the 0%. There are some people who occasionally run it for like wide guard. Do you think it gets like 1 game or?
I don't think so.
Yeah, no,
but
I
who
agree.
knows?
Not at Worlds. I feel like it's one of those weird mons where come Worlds, it's just not going to get played, sadly. Speaking of Worlds though, obviously JUX9 has loved jump off for a lot of the format, but do you think it's like I feel like it just doesn't get played now, right? Like with Torn in the meta, there's just no reason to run it.
And Lilligan also, you have like competition for your fast
that's very true. Yeah,
or a fill user. I mean, that doesn't get Tailwind, but like, I don't know.
But it's very different, right? You're there to enable the It's kind of there to enable the Torkoal rather than be like enabled by the Torkoal, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Sableye, one of my favorite mons. Do you think this sees any play? I feel like it's worthy of F. I feel like it does enough to have some like one player bring it. I just don't think it gets really any more than like 1 to 2 plays.
Yeah, you're probably right. Looks good next to those other ones.
Torkoal, obviously this mon functions in a lot of different ways. There's Sunroom, obviously. People run it as like just like a support on a Tailwind team. Obviously really good with a lot of the past Paradox ones like Fluttermane. Do you think it gets a C tier, or do you think it's more D?
I tend to be a Sun believer.
So do I. I think it's the best weather right now.
I feel like every time we're preparing for a tournament, like I underestimate how many Sun users there will be.
I don't know what the calcs on it would be, but this one with Rocky Helmet could be really good into things like Chen Pao and Rillaboom as well. Sorry, not Rillaboom, Urshifu. But I mean also Rillaboom as well. Like this mod's super physically defensive. So maybe there's someone out there who plays this with like Rocky Helmet and just like actually does stuff. Yeah, not entirely sure on that one. Salamence, one of my favorite mons in a game. Probably just F tier though, right?
Yeah.
I think I might get 1 or 2.
Sadly.
Same with Staraptor. I think I might get 1 or 2, but probably not more than that. Do you think anyone does a Sage and Park and brings Pachirisu?
No.
I think there's just too much like good competition now, right? For the redirection.
Household.
Yeah. Gastro. Do you think Gastro gets C? Or I think it's probably just D, right? I don't think enough people are slotting it on just for Shifu, because like even when it comes to counter Shifu, like it doesn't really want to eat CCs. But I don't know. I feel iffy about putting it like any higher than D.
I probably would have put it in C, honestly.
I'm just not a
Like,
believer in it. I think that's my issue. Like I don't believe in this one.
I can understand that a lot. I'm not gonna bicker over Gastrodon,
Yeah,
but
like
yeah.
I did a lot of testing with it back in I think Series 2 and didn't mind it, and then like I tested it at the start of Series 4, I hated it. Even when I brought it into Urshifu, it still felt bad. Bronzong, do you think this sees any play? I'm leaning towards probably F. I don't. If King Wu was better, I could see it getting more, but probably not. Big Chomp. Look, I love me some Garchomp, but I don't think it's getting that much play. I think there might be a couple teams, but any higher than D tier to me feels a bit off.
I think D might be a little generous, yeah, unfortunately.
Nah, look, I agree. I'm gonna go F. I'm gonna go. Oh, dude, we've still we actually don't have that much left. I thought we had a crazy amount. It ends here, so we're getting there. We're getting there. Toxicroak probably doesn't get any play, right? I still think like dry skin plus fake out is like cool. So maybe it gets like one game. But outside of that, yeah, it's probably not great. Do you think I think just because it has weather, I think it's D tier, right?
1%. Yeah.
Weather plus veil is cool. Do you think either of these Rotoms get play? I have like not seen any Rotoms at all. Like
Rotom has completely underperformed my expectations this entire generation.
Yeah, like I think you could potentially see them both in F tier. But any higher than that to me just feels too high.
Yeah.
Azelf, I think this mon has one cool niche, and that's Boom next to Hisuian Zoroark with a Dondozo in the back. Outside of that, I don't really know what else it does. Do you think anyone brings Boom Azelf?
I don't think anyone brings that. Yeah. We're talking about worlds here.
Yeah, exactly. So. Heatran, arguably the best fire type in the format. I think purely based on its typing, I have to rank it above Chi-Yu. As much as I prefer Chi-Yu to it, I definitely think this mon it's probably worthy of the A tier here. Its typing's just insane. It's got a really good ability to having I think adding an immunity and also having an insanely good like typing is like really good. Like it hardballs Flutter Mane as well, or at least fairies, right? You can't hit this thing with fairy moves. With the Grass Terra too, it makes like it really hard to deal with for Urshifu. You have the ability to one-shot it. Yeah, I think it's just overall just like a pretty good mod.
Mathematically, how many 20% can there really be?
That's a great
question.
I guess
it depends how centralized the metagame is, but a lot of the tournaments I looked at, like there's only like 2 or 3 at 20.
I mean, in like, if I'm being honest, I think there is probably maybe 3. Actually, I think probably 4 A tiers left. So yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I definitely think getting towards the end of this year. Another potential A tier though, Cresselia. Do you think this one makes A? I kind of lean towards B tier. I think it gets maybe a little more play than Ursaluna. In saying that, I feel like it's in a similar boat to Ursaluna there, where it doesn't need Ursaluna like to be good, but Ursaluna kind of also doesn't need it to be good anymore. So I don't know. I'm in a kind of weird position with it. I might even start dropping some more of these mons down, like just the bottom here. Do you think either of the Samurotts get play? I think neither.
Nope.
Even the Hisuian version is pretty bad. Do you think base Lurgant gets played over Hisuian?
Nope.
I lean towards no. If we're putting Torkoal in C, do we put this in C or not? Because I think this is like one of the best partners for Torkoal, right? Regardless.
I mean, maybe. I just think there will be just like some teams that abuse photosynthesis and like Chi-Yu.
No, I agree. I'm happy to put that in D tier.
Okay.
Big Crook. Sadly, I don't think he gets played.
Nah.
You definitely don't.
Nah.
I think this one might see some play. I just don't know how much. Like I think it's annoying to deal with, especially at Team Sheet. You never know if you're actually leading into it or not. But I don't think we can say higher than F tier, right?
You're probably right, yeah.
Thunderous. I think this is probably one of the last potential A tiers. Probably, I think I'm kind of leaning towards B though. I feel like this is going to be like a mid-teens, like maybe like a potentially like a 13% mon. I think it's a bit slept on. I think Eerie Impulse into Flutter Mane's fantastic. Obviously, T-Bolt into Urshi is also really good. Like I think it's like incredibly good into the 2 top mons. But obviously it kind of needs to point the Amoonguss, and then it kind of just like drops off against the rest of them. Thundy Eye though, we have been seeing this mod pop up quite a bit on Rain, but I guess the question is how big do you think Rain's going to be? I don't think it sees really any more than like 3 to 5 picks.
Yeah.
We'll keep him there then, I guess. Lando's...
It's been low on ladder, so...
Yeah, I'm a fan of Lando I, but I don't think you play this over Lando T at Worlds.
Probably not. I don't know. It's such a powerful mon. I respect it so much.
Look, it's one of those things where it was my personal favorite counter into Goodrop because like Sludge Bomb plus Earth Power just covered its like terrors it would go for. But like I don't know. I feel like if Goodra was like a 20% mon, this mon would be higher. But it's in that weird speed tier where it's like just not quick enough to like really like punish some of the like the better mons, and then like it's also just not bulky enough, and like it's 4x weak to things like Qian Pao, so like I don't know. I feel like if it maybe had like Air Slash, this mon could be like a lot better, but it doesn't, so I think it's kind of just
yeah, you're right.
Landorus I think this is definitely top of A. Like arguably top 3, potentially, like definitely top 5. I think it probably kicks 1 out of the 5 for me.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Lando? I think obviously best Intimidate mon in the format. Fantastic typing, just overall great mon. And I think Water Terror on it is like insane. It covers both its weaknesses, which is really good.
It feels really weird to say anything negative about it, because if anything, I feel like it's been under my expectations all format.
I agree, and it keeps getting better. That's the crazy thing. It just keeps getting better. Charizard, one of the most popular Pokemon of all time. It's not getting play right. Like, do you think there's a world where someone puts it on a Sun team?
I mean, it did get that one result.
Yeah, look, I played that team as well that got that one result. It actually shits damage inside Sun. Like, Scarf in Sun.
It does.
I'm going to say,
very well.
Imagine being the one guy who actually wins Worlds with Charizard. Both Raichus, they're probably just not getting any play, right?
Nope.
I'm just going to chuck them down here to save myself the scrolling. Wiggly, no, you know.
Arcanine is the next Pokemon I see. I guess maybe we're going to talk about a Alolan Persian.
I think Alolan Persian has been super underutilized so far. I'm surprised this mon doesn't see a little more play. But again, maybe it's just Flutterman, right? Like maybe because Alolan Persian's only got like it's like was it 65 special defense or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 65 HP, 65 special defense. It's a good support, but Fluttermane literally, Fluttermane just one taps it. So yeah, like you can't eat a Dazzling Gleam. I agree here. We'll get him down. The two Arcanines. I'm in a weird spot with these two. I kind of want to rank them at the same time here. I think one of them belongs in C and the other belongs in D. The question is, how do you want to do it? Because I think Hisuian is probably better right now just because of its like resistance to normal and ice. Double resistance to the ice. But yeah, I don't know. I think they're probably like the second best Intimidators in the format. Like, what do you think about that? Like Hisuian in C, regular in D.
I like that. I think
look,
Hisuian should be above the regular one.
Yeah, I think, look, E-Speed is great. They have Howl, they have Willow. Intimidate obviously is great. They both have Blitz. Rock Slide and potential, like, is it Rock Wreck on Hisuian 9? Or is it Head Smash? It's Head Smash, isn't it?
Head Smash,
yeah. Head Smash, yeah. Yeah, look, really, I think they're both really solid mons. They're just in a weird spot where it's like, their competition's Landorus, and Landorus is, you know, the goat of Pokemon, right?
Well, and Gyarados also.
True. Very true, actually. Do you think either Slowbro gets played? I'm leaning towards no.
Yeah, no.
Alolan Come. Do you think he gets at least one? I think he gets one, right?
Yeah.
I like that. Gengar, he probably gets nothing, which is a big sad. I love Gengar. I don't think Electrode. Do you think the Hisuian Electrode gets any play? It's interesting. I just don't know how interesting.
Yeah, it's the same speed thing I had to say with Dragapult, but Dragapult is like so much better than those two. Yeah. And then Regieleki exists now. I don't see it.
I'll fix these up at the end anyway, for like when I take a screenshot of the tier list. But we'll leave them there for now, just so I don't have to keep scrolling. Do you think either of these two get any play? Obviously the Paldean and Tauruses are like, I think like they're potentially one, because they have had some results, right?
Yeah.
Like, they both have CC, they have Blitz and Wave Crush, respectively. Obviously, they have access to things like Jet. Like, these two, like, do have, like, the strongest stabs of all the Intimidate mons. So, like, part of me wants to say they get one each. But obviously, I don't think they're gonna really get any more than like 3 max. But
I could see someone who's really cooking bring the water
Yeah.
one for sure.
Gyarados, he's probably like similar tier to Arcanine, right? The Hisuian Arcanine.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I think he's probably better, but
yeah, look, I agree. He's definitely been rising. Like, obviously, the typing's fantastic. Its only weakness is, electric. Obviously, things like T-Wave plus Waterfall are like super annoying to deal with. Yeah, I mean, Monster's good. Great Intimidate. Do you think we see any Ditto?
no.
None? Yeah, I agree. Evolutions. I don't think either of these 3 get any play, right?
No.
Yeah, that. Alright. Do you think we get my guy original Articuno? I think probably not, right?
Someone will bring it. I think. That one.
Look, I wouldn't be surprised. Right? Bright Powder plus Snow Cloak. It's decent, right? Yeah, it's decent. This one is actually one I'm surprised it's not getting more play. I thought Galarian Articuno would be the like best Trick Room counter for HO. It's got a really nice speed tier where it can function both in Trick Room and Tailwind. Obviously, it's a great Trick Room and Prison Mon. Its signature move is like really nice. But do you think like does it see in more play than like the F tiers? Do you think or not?
I think it's an F personally.
Yeah. Sadly, I agree.
It's so pretty.
I think it has potential to rise up, but probably not far. Another really underrated Mon. I'm surprised with how Zapdos has performed so far this year. I thought this Mon was going to be like an easy A or B, and I kind of feel like it's a D tier. Like maybe a C, but like that even feels like a stretch.
If I'm thinking about bringing a team to Worlds, the main concern I have is like if I'm relying on Zapdos as my Tailwind setter, you pretty much can't. From what I understand, it's really tough to calc to live an Icicle Crash from Gene Pal.
I don't know if you could even do that, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to say D. I think it has potential, but I don't think it has what everyone expected. Galarian version, probably D tier, right? It's a decent Defiant Mon. I don't think anyone really uses it outside of that.
Yeah, no.
Moltres, I think it's like second best Flame Body Mon. I did actually play around with this on screens, and I do think it's actually like super underrated. I think its biggest issue is it does kind of need to Terra more often than not into like a lot of super effective Mons.
Yeah, I've seen some teams use it, I guess, so yeah. Don't hate it there. It's weird to see it next to Zapdos, because I feel like Zapdos is so much better, but yeah.
What about Moltres, Galarian Moltres? I think this is definitely the best of the 6 birds. The question is, can we justify putting it in C tier with like the screens Mons? Like, I kind of lean towards no, but you could convince me.
I don't know. I don't know with it. It's tough.
Like, I feel like it's kind of, in my opinion, like right there with
Moon. It's definitely up there if we're putting it in.
Yeah, this is a Mon that like if it gets going, it starts cooking. D-Knight. I guess the biggest question with D-Knight is, do you think it gets enough play for A tier? I think no. I think D-Knight's falling off right now. But in saying that, it could again be one of those things where people just aren't playing it before Worlds because they want people to think it fell off when it like did.
I think 10% is about right.
Yeah, I still think D-Knight's really good. Obviously, best E-Speed user in the game. Fantastic with Chien Pao. Really good. Do you think either of our Typhlosions get play? I'm leaning towards definitely no for base Typhlosion. What about the
like
Hisuian version?
Yeah. That's an F to me.
Hisuian's F?
Yeah.
I mean, it is the fastest Eruption Mon. It has a really good typing too, so I could definitely see it getting 1 play. So I'm okay with that. Do you think Quagsire gets anything? I'm leaning towards no.
Yeah, no.
Probably nothing for either of these 2. What about Murkrow? The another Tailwinder that can't be taunted. It also has Haze. It has Taunt.
I have seen some people using Murkrow.
I've seen it on Sun Team, so I'm gonna say F tier. I think I might get some play. I just don't expect it to be much. Chuck those guys down. Fortress 2. Sizzle, everyone talks about how this Mon counters Flutter Mane. Do you think we see it at least once? I lean towards no, but I wouldn't be surprised if it came one time.
I just feel like Reg C was its best opportunity to shine, and it didn't
do it. Yeah. I agree. Dude, we're almost at the end here. Wowee. A little over an hour in. I guess, do you think... my guy, Heracross, absolutely love this Mon. Probably the best bug type in my opinion. I don't think he sees anything, right? Yeah. I'll get rid of it.
Volcarona's better.
Yeah.
Also.
Do we... Probably nothing here. Just play Ursaluna. No. Oh, the better Iron Bundle. Do you think he gets anything other than F tier? Look at his stupid fucking face. Donphan, again, why play Donphan when you can just play one of its Paradox mons, or forms, I should say. Blissey, do you think Blissey gets anything at all?
Nope.
Nah, yeah,
Nope.
I agree. Tita, the guy who carried me at OCIC, I absolutely love this mon. I kind of want to say he gets D tier here, but even then, I think that might be a stretch.
D tier if we're putting Lycanroc in D tier.
Very true, very true. Put him there, lovely. Final two mons. We'll do Guardy first. Do you think Guardy gets anything? I lean towards no play for Guardy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
And then finally, we talked about Rain. If we're putting Basculegion in C, we have to probably put this in C as well, right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think Rain is like, I still think Rain's really good. And obviously instant Rain is like always going to be better than like manual Rain. The only issue is like Torn is just like a 10 times better Pokemon than this. But don't worry, soon enough we're getting Politoed back, and we'll make Rain good again. Because Rain is my favorite weather. I think I said that
earlier. Everyone said that when the Sword and Shield DLC came out. They're like, "Oh, we're getting Kingdra, we're getting Politoed. Rain is gonna dominate this next format," and then it really didn't.
Oh, look, Kingdra. I think Kingdra's biggest issue is that 95 like offensive stats is just not enough in the meta today. It's like it just doesn't hit hard enough. Where Politoed actually has like a lot more modes.
I mean, Inteleon wasn't great either, but Gmax Inteleon wasn't that good either. You're saying there wasn't a great Rain sweeper back then, and there's better ones now. It's probably
exactly. And also I think having things like Tornadus on a manual Rain, sorry, on like a what's it called, on like a Drizzlemon is also like really good. Because you can pair it with Politoed, and like if they don't lead like something aggressive, you can just like fire off a Bleak Wind turn 1, which is like kind of sick. I think being able to like safely fire those off is like really, really important.
Yeah, I feel like Weather's a really weird spot with so many manual teams.
I think we're good down here. Don't need to touch on any of those. Is there anything else up here you would really touch on? I think like probably the most important things to look at are probably like the A, B, and C tiers. I think we agree these are the only two S tier mons in the game.
I think mathematically we have too many A and B tiers, but I mean, it is what it is.
I don't know. I think B tiers would be fine. Maybe like I could say maybe dropping Rilla and Heatran to B would be, and maybe even Gold. Like I think those three could maybe drop down to B tier. Like if you really wanted to be like shorten the mons, I'd say something like this. And then who would I drop here? Like maybe like Indeedee, Cress, and like Tatsu, because I think we'll see Dozo without Tatsu, but it does feel weird to not have them together. What do you think about like
their percentages usually not that far apart, just because there's only going to be what, like out of 300, how many players are going to bring Dozo without Tatsu? Like
exactly, yeah. But if this was like a 900 player like regional, it'd be a bit different. But yeah, I agree. I feel like the B tiers though, it's hard to see any of these mons like. Maybe like Urshi Thundy are like borderline 10%. Even like Tatsu Don is like maybe like borderline 10%. I think all of these guys here though are like at least like a solid 13% plus.
I think Dozo Tatsu is going to be scary to bring. I think it could totally go under 10%.
Really? I feel like it. I think it's just too good not to. But I mean,
I think you're right, but I just also think like I don't know. I guess I don't know enough about people's mentality because like. You know, it's really tough to make it day one. Only one person's ever made it out of day one. So maybe if you're playing day one, you feel that pressure to like, I have to bring a really innovative team that's gonna like, you know, and then maybe more of the day two people are taking safer teams, quote unquote. But I don't know about people's mentality that way. I guess.
I mean, I guess that's the. I know it's definitely gonna be difficult to say, right? Like. Because we just don't know what people are bringing, right? Like we haven't had a proper event on this, format. So it's definitely gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, that's part of the problem for sure. We don't have like a big chart we can compare it to.
Yeah, I guess the only question I have is, do you think Single Strike gets like, Rapid Strike gets like 38%? Do you think there's a world where it drops below 40? Because
maybe
I think
if it did, it would be because like Basculegion or like some other water type did really well.
Elephant. My God.
Why are you? I don't know. Maybe.
I'm just a believer, dude. This guy's carried me in way too many YouTube videos. I've had a lot of games where I'm like, ah, damn, I actually just got outplayed. And Palafin just like one-shots 3 months from full HP with Jet Punch. Just like, shit, he got outplayed.
I top cut a tournament in Reg D that Neil VGC was playing in, and he used bulk up Palafin.
Well, that's
and
the thing.
Every Palafin I've seen in this regulation is bulk up.
Yeah, well, it's a lot bulkier than Urshi on the special side, which I think is really good, and it doesn't have the disgusting secondary typing, which like water types love just being just water types. I think because they have 2 weaknesses, maybe 3 if bundle's good. But yeah, no, I like Palafin. I think based on Victory Road, sorry, not Victory, was it Victory Road or Limitless? I think it's Limitless stats. I think Urshi right now is sitting at like 48% anyway, so like I don't think it drops below 40%, unless people are just scared it's going to get countered. But regardless, I think it's still the second best one in the format. I don't really see a world where it's like below like 38%, and because of that, I'm kind of
through protect, 3 hit guaranteed crit. Yeah, it's
hits through protect, kills through focus sash. Yeah, really good.
Like playing the game, you just realize it. Like there's so many more situations and games where you can get guaranteed pins, which is what like at Worlds you're looking for like a guaranteed win condition, not
dude,
like the best.
Exactly, and I think it paired up with like Rilla gives like that Rilla and Heatran is like the best fire water grass core in the game, and like the thing is like Rilla and Heatran don't even need Urshi to be good, but like they just complement each other so well. And like fake out pins with Urshi is great. Like Iron Hands and Rilla, 2 of the best fake out mons in the game, both incredible mons like in their own rights. And again, they just force pins where it's like, oh, if you protect, I'm killing you, and if you swap, I'm killing you, and there's nothing you can really do about it unless you like over predict me to not just kill you. And it just
it's too strong. And honestly, if I had one complaint about the format, it's that there's not enough counterplay to Urshifu. That's probably my biggest complaint.
Yeah, no, I agree. But look, I think it's probably a good place to wrap it up here, right? Pretty good tier list, I think. Obviously, a lot of mons sadly will not be really seeing any play. And something to keep in mind too is, obviously, this is Worlds. There is not many players at this event. This is probably going to be like the smallest event in terms of like total players for the entire season, which is kind of crazy to think, because even like the Australian events were like more than this, I think. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very small player pool. I think it's like 320 people qualified, and obviously not everyone is even going. Like this event could honestly only have like 200 players. Because I think a lot of the, international players, like, it's hard for them to travel to Japan rather than, like, somewhere in the States. And because of that, I would not be surprised if this event really only has, like, 200 players. Meaning that, like, our D tier is, like, getting picked twice. But,
it's far to travel for a lot of people, and there was a lot of weird situations with qualifications throughout the season, so I wouldn't be that surprised either.
Exactly. But look, I think we'll wrap it up there. Obviously, if you guys made it this far, thank you. Hit the like button, all that good stuff. But yeah, catch you in the next one. Peace.
Later.